what happens when somebody buys a low mileage Mercedes. Oh, I probably shouldn't say who, but it's not the guy that you guys would expect. Called me and requested a video a few weeks ago. And at the time I was like, why on earth would somebody who sells a bunch of low mileage cars send me a specific request for a video? And I realized that he and I have a common grievance. So what is this common grievance? And what on earth is going on when people buy these extremely low mileage Mercedes? Well, what I'm talking about is when someone goes on Bring a Trailer or a similar website and they buy a low mileage, pristine example of a 123 or 126 or 124 series car. What actually happens with these cars when they go to their new owners? What do the owners do with them? Why is it that they show up for sale again in several years? And I got some inside information on what actually happens, and what we're going to discuss in this video is why it's happening. First, let's say that I'm an affluent individual. I'm a doctor, a lawyer, an architect, an endodontist. I have money to spend, and let's say when I was in my 20s, when things were better, I had a used Mercedes 123 series, or my parents had one, or my grandparents had one, or my neighbor had one, or my girlfriend's dad had one. And I have fond memories of that car. Well, in order to recapture those fond memories, I'm going to take some of the thousands of dollars that I've been bilking, for Medicare. Just kidding. Okay. And I'm going to put it in a more liquid asset like a car. And so I go and Bring a Trailer and I look up and see who's selling the nicest Mercedes out there. And I figure out that there's really only one guy who does it. And I buy a car from him. And him and his wife, deliver the car to me. It's perfect. It's been serviced. Doesn't need anything. What do? I put 100 miles on it, and then it sits in my garage for 3 years. And then I contact the guy I bought it from again, and I say, I'm tired of looking at it. Maybe you could sell it for me. I've serviced the car. I've taken great care of it. I've kept it clean and shiny, but now I'm ready to depart from this vehicle. Maybe I'll get another one in a couple of years, but I scratched the itch. And this is really where things get, I guess, a little confusing for me, because people want the car, they like the car, but then after they get the car, they don't like it enough to drive it. They don't really consider it a permanent acquisition. They're not enthusiastic about it. And they're not really actually maintaining the cars like they're supposed to maintain them. So most of these cars, according to the individual that I discussed it with, have had one oil change. Maybe. Most of them have had no oil changes. Most of them have been kept relatively clean and they weren't driven. Most of them didn't even have the air pressure checked in the tires. And this sort of phenomenon, I don't think it's that bad. I don't think cars deteriorate from lack of use. I think they deteriorate from not very careful use. So what's better, for a car to sit for 3 years and have 100 miles put on it, or for you to use the car and get in an accident with it and screw it up? Please give me the car that's been sitting. Let the car sit, because imprudent, indiscriminate use of your car is typically a sign that you don't appreciate what you have, and it's just something to be used up. And unfortunately, we're living in an era right now where people just use things up. They use up their washers, their dryers, their Hyundais, their Bentleys, their Ford pickups. Why on earth would they just use up their classic Mercedes? And I think it stems from this idea that there's probably plenty of them out there, and if something happens, they can just send it somewhere like my shop and get it fixed. And then when they find out how much it actually costs, they freak out. And I could think of a specific person who bought a car from the person who requested the video got into an accident with it the first day they had it and let Copart take it after stringing us along for 3 or 4 months because they didn't like what the cost of the car was going to be to fix. And that's what I find really funny. A lot of these people, I think if they wrecked their car the first day they had it, they would simply call the insurance company, say, take it away for the agreed value, and, you know, buy another one maybe. These are not Mercedes enthusiasts. These are people who think they're Mercedes enthusiasts, but they're really not. What does the real Mercedes enthusiast do? First of all, they work on their own car. They maintain their own car. They have a place in their life for the car. Number two, they don't always take the easy route when buying the car. They spend time actually vetting the car. They don't just order a car and bring a trailer, which is pretty much the Amazon of classic car ownership. They might bid on a bring a trailer car, but before taking delivery of the car, they go up there, they check it out, they see it, they inspect it, they make sure they like it. They understand that this is a commitment and not just an acquisition that can be unacquired easily. And, you know, they have a plan to use the car. They look at the car as something that they use and enjoy carefully. They don't wear it out or overuse it. A good example I can think of overuse was a customer that, you know, another well-known dealer of classic Mercedes diesel sold to an individual in New Jersey. And this person had an alcohol consumption problem, got drunk and wrecked his 116. He thought nothing of the fact that he paid close to $50,000 for this thing. He just didn't care. He wrecked it. And that's really the danger when you start, you know, there's always some kind of inherent danger with any collector car market. 20 years ago, classic Mercedes diesels used to be cheap. People would buy them and run them on vegetable oil. Now, you have wealthy people who just don't care buying these cars and then holding on to them for 2 or 3 years and not doing anything and then just feeding them back into the pool. And that's really the thing I've brought up about Bring a Trailer and other auction sites. The cars don't find permanent, long-term homes. They find homes with people who expected a really nice car, and when the car isn't, you know, either when they lose interest in the car because it is really nice, which is what, you know, our original requester had, you know, told me, or when they get the car and they find out the car isn't as nice as they thought, you know, in a short period of time, it's back on the marketplace. And so, of course, you know, I don't know if it's really Bring a Trailer's fault. It's just sort of the monster that it's created where people trade these things all the time because they want a place to park some cash or they want something to go out to dinner in with their friends for 1 or 2 occasions and they're done. Kind of an expensive way to show off. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Before you buy a car, especially if you're buying a top of the market classic car, because I know many of you are watching this channel, think carefully about why you're buying it. If you think you're going to lose interest in it in a year, then don't buy it. Just don't. Let the itch stay unscratched. Sometimes it's better to leave it as a fantasy or a dream, because if you're just going to buy one of these things, you don't really want to use it the right way, then why go out and buy a super nice car? For some of you who think you want a really nice car, maybe you guys should go buy a high mileage car and restore it so you bond with the car instead of it's just like buying a thing. I know that, like, if I go buy a loaf of bread, I might eat half of the loaf and then say, oh, this is too much bread. But if I make it myself, every crumb is going to get consumed. So that's just how it is. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video. Please like, share, subscribe, and we'll talk to you in the future.